Welcome back to the latest episode of the Key and Mang audio experience. I'm your host, Mang, as always, joined with my fellow co-host, Key. Key, what's good?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. Better over the last week than
Good.
the last couple of days. How are you?
I'm lovely. I can't complain. You know me.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Love it. We got another special one today. We got Kevin Melendez, performance therapist and owner of Swish Physical Therapy in Oviedo, Florida, where the focus is to provide professional athlete level treatment, education, and communication to the general population to maximize their recovery. He's also a
Mhm.
big Miami Heat lifer, which I'm sure we'll dive into on this episode. But Dr. Coach Kev, what's good?
Man, what a pleasure to be on here. Seriously, I really love what you guys do and the platform you guys give to uh, that, life is bigger than just kind of being a physical therapist, right? We're like human beings that just want to be better, a little bit better every day. So I love that about what you guys do. So it's an honor to be on here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're two PTs, but we don't really like to talk about too much PT stuff, but more about like life, business, growth. It's more to like what you said, there's more to life than just PT and there's a lot that people have to offer. So giving people the opportunity to explain their stories and how they got to where they're at and hopefully inspire the next generation or whoever's listening to take massive steps in their own journeys as well. But for you, can you kind of give us a little bit of background into who you are and why you decided to go into the PT realm?
Yeah, I kind of have a traditional, like the most common story, where you get injured and then you get introduced to the field and so I had that happen just at a very early age. So I happened to be about 14 years old when I had a shoulder injury, which led me to my first time going to PT. And then when I was 16, I had a major back injury where that really opened my eyes to the field because at the time I was 16 and they wanted to do, I never forget the orthopedic surgeon was like, oh, we're going to do surgery on you. And I was like, wait a minute, like I'm 16, maybe there's something else we could do. And for whatever reason, I questioned him. I was like, hey, doc, I'm not doing it. Maybe I can go to PT and we'll figure that out. And I did. And I've, been, and, that got me to where I don't have any limitations of what I can do. So I recovered from that. You talk about being a basketball fan, I played basketball my whole life. So, uh, I ended up recovering from that, played my senior year, got a couple offers for basketball. And then, so like, it was like a full recovery. And that just to me was like a life-changing moment where I was like, if I can provide resources, so first somebody doesn't get injured, but second, if they do need the platform, they know that there's somebody out there that can help them, so that was my like purpose. And then at a young age, and it was just like, how is that going to manifest throughout this, as I get older and older throughout going into PT school and then eventually opening up my own clinic. Yeah.
I think that's an interesting story because imagine you didn't have that first encounter with physical therapy and then you had the back injury. That was like your first encounter with like a health care professional. And they're like, oh, do surgery. You don't question it. You might not have like been even introduced to physical therapy and you might not have the same function that you do now. Do you think of that?
One every day, like truthfully, like I think my superpower as a person is ability to reflect and like have self-awareness. And so like I really do try to take a moment every day to be like, for sure, think about that perspective. Like, if I didn't go to therapy at 14 and I wouldn't have literally seen other people with back injuries get treated while I was getting treated, and then I would have probably missed out on my senior year of basketball just out of straight recovery of the surgery and PT. And then I don't know, man. Like, so, it's a gift and a curse because I was in a lot of pain during high school, like literal physical pain, but like that level of pain uh was like a driving battery throughout the rest of what's now been my career. To like anytime I'm tired or whatever, I can just go back to that feeling and then use it to overcome whatever's in front of me. So no, I'm definitely I constantly, I don't dwell on the past because I think that's a way to get kind of in quicksand, but I appreciate it and then use it to get me to where I want to go in the future.
Did you always know that self-awareness was something that you have always been very high on, or is that something you had to develop? And how, if you had to develop it, how did you develop that skill of being more self-aware?
That's a great question. I would say if you ask my family or my mom or my parents, I've always been a different child, I guess, like in terms of like just the way like I process. Like I was gifted when I was younger at a very young age, and it wasn't because like I was this like highly intelligent individual. I think it was just the way that I processed things, thoughts, ideas, uh, and I just like anyone did actually spend a lot of time hiding like behind the way that I actually process just to feel more um comfortable around people, right? Like so you hide your strengths and what you think are insecurities just to feel more at ease, like or feel more normal. So no, I knew at a young age, but it took me a while uh to be open about, oh no, like I do often think and process about, what do I need to be better at and what am I good at, and then like I'm constantly processing that and communicating that with people that I love and trust. And that happens through like watching videos and reading books. I read a lot of self-help books and listen to a lot of interviews and listen to a lot of podcasts throughout the years, to just build the confidence, truthfully, like build confidence into being okay with who I am, you know and and which is really dope because you guys will love this from a sports reference. Like I got to a point probably about, I want to say around the time when I opened up the clinic, so not even that long ago, where I realized like all the goats in basketball or whatever, in football, they're really confident people, like like almost irrationally confident, like it's really but it never comes off like those who recognize it never look at it and be like, oh, like uh um F that person or whatever the case may be. They love it. They're drawn by the level of confidence that person has, and it's because they know that it comes from the work that they put in. So we're taught to kind of be humble or like have this ridiculous humility. But recently, I talked about this before, but recently I realized that humility is when you think you're less than somebody. Like that's the literal definition of humility. And that to me was like, it's kind of toxic to think like that. So and then I look at all the people who are really good at what they do. I go, they're not, they have a sense of humility, but they're actually walk around very confident. And so once I realized that, it was like, okay, but let me be okay with who I am.
Funny that you mentioned it because I was just about to bring up the being humble as a toxic trait because I heard you say that. I was like, that is a bar. Like you don't think about it like that because everyone's like, you got to be humble, you got to like diminish what you've accomplished and stay open
Yeah.
to things. But I think being able to recognize the amount of work that you put in and how you can solve the problems that people are coming at you with. Like not everyone can do that. You have your own gifts. I have my own gifts. Key has her own gifts, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
makes each of us our own person. So I love how you broke down that being humble, be confident in your work and your prep, and it'll help you like set off to achieve higher things and be more confident in yourself because you've achieved the things that you said you was going to accomplish for yourself.
Yeah, because being confident is it's like it's interesting. Like it's your way of being proud of yourself, right? Like when you're arrogant, it's like you you're kind of just lying to people, right? But when you're confident, no, you're proud of the work that you put in when people weren't looking, right? That whole saying, "No characters built when no one's watching." Like that's where you really build your confidence, and like so why shouldn't we? And you're right, the society does tell us to, and through every situation we're in, like be humble, have humility, this and this and that, and that's cool. I think you should in the things that you haven't put the work in, right? Like I don't know what it's like to be a professional soccer player. So if I'm in that situation talking to a professional soccer player, I'm gonna have a sense of humility because I don't know what it's like, right? But if someone's gonna come up to me about recovery and physical therapy about in performance, no, I'm gonna have a level of confidence. Like you don't understand how many hours I put in, like I'm gonna be confident about that. Like if not me, who then? You know? So that's the way I look at it.
That's crazy because I never even thought to look up the definition of humility, and I just did. And I do think it's a toxic trait to think like that. Why would you think that you're less than? But I do think that does come from, like you said, it comes from like putting the time in. And I think that's just acknowledging like when you're in certain situations, you're not always the expert. When it comes to the shit you know, you shouldn't act with humility. You should act like how you are. You know what I mean? Like the expert. So I thought that was cool. I didn't even think of that. That's very toxic to think like that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's dope.
uh
That's a bar.
love that, I love that,
That's
thank you.
that's definitely a bar. How did you get into like the mindset of wanting to own your own stuff?
I give my parents a lot of credit. My entire life, my mom and my stepdad, um, love them to death. By the way, shout out to them. I give them all the praise in the world. They owned their business my entire life. Like they had a contracting business, AC business. So I've only known what it's like to be in a household with entrepreneurs. So I saw the benefits of it. I saw the negative side of it. I saw the hustle, everything that it took. But the funny thing that my parents did, and I don't know if they realized they did it, but they would literally like tell me kind of like, hey, like no matter how hard we're working, we're still happy doing this. And that was dope to me. Like for them to literally, look at me as a kid and be like, hey, we're still happy doing this. Like we love this more than we despise. So for me, it just gave me it opened my brain at a very early age that owning something, even as a minority, was possible, right? So like that to me was like, and it was cool. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like there's a part of me that's like, I'm a very like, let me do something different than the norm kind of deal, and I'm very aware that what do you guys think like the percentages of you know uh of a cash based out of network doctor who owns a clinic at less than 30 years old, right? So like as a minority, so like I literally look at that and like that's a challenge, like okay, maybe I could open a door for more people to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that all you need, like all somebody needs is exposure. We talk about that a lot on this podcast, but I definitely think there's students that or people in healthcare that are looking at like your journey and you're kind of like opening the door from them and like you don't even know it. So it just takes you seeing that one person and like things just click. Cause like that's how I got into like wanting to own my own stuff was like Greg Todd. Like you're Greg Todd to somebody.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Wow.
all you need is that exposure. I think that just makes a
Wow.
difference.
Kiani, I'm going to tell you something that happened really dope this Friday. I have a cousin of mine. It happens to be a professor at Valencia, and he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, there's a kid who's thinking about becoming a PT. He is it okay if he reaches out to come talk to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Like, of course. Let's tell him to come by. We'll schedule something." He came by and all he said to me, like we had a great conversation, but the big thing he said at the end of it was like, "Hey, I just want to tell you, thank you to let like you made me realize this is possible." And I was like, "Whoa, like that's a big responsibility." Like, but it was super dope to like even for someone to even say that, and like that kind of stuff motivates me to stay confident and like it gives me so much energy. Like that's truly why you do it, right? Because like you said, like we had mentors and stuff like that, but you know to now be in a space where I can help somebody, maybe, do it way better than I'm doing it. It's like so dope. So dope to me.
And I think that makes the days where you're like, damn, I don't want to do this, or like the days that are hard, like you can look back and be like somebody needs this. And I think that's what allows you to kind of keep pushing when things get hard. You don't feel like doing stuff. Just being able to look back on that and know that there's more people out there that may not speak up but are still watching.
Yeah, facts, facts.
When you were in PT school, I know you went to a hybrid program and you
Yeah.
made it a strategic decision to go to a hybrid program because you wanted to also
Mhm.
have time to focus on the business. Um, can has the business so the business has been an idea since for a long time. and you started
Yeah.
PT school. How did you manage PT school, family, starting to learn about the business aspect of things and making your next moves?
That I managed. I have a great support system. I think there's certain things that I am I'm lucky, and I know lucky is like, you know, preparation or hard work when they meet together. So I I'm not going to be, I guess, really humble about that, because I know the importance of building good relationships throughout life. Like, you do have to, it's important to water the relationships you have, the ones that you really care about. So I guess I was able to do that well enough throughout my life, where I have, you know, the same group of 5 best friends that I've had for 20 plus years. You know, like I have a family that's really close knitted, that like, if I need anything, they're there, you know, and I know that's things that like I don't take for granted. And I know that that's not something that everyone has. So I don't take that for granted. And I often wake up and go, okay, well, how can I take advantage of the situation I've been given, right? The cards that I've been given. And that's what I try to do every day. So during grad school, like I would wake up legitimately, man. And again, I don't know why I process like this, but I would wake up and be like, all right, I'm still good. I'm still healthy. My family loves me. My friends are good. All right, how can I take advantage of today and like be the best version of whatever I could today? And no one's perfect. Like, you know how many shitty days, like, or days where I would go to sleep and be like, well, that wasn't a good one today. You know, like I did not give it my all. But like more often than not, you know, their ability to kind of be a soundboard for me, making sure I still kept them proud, right? Hey, y'all good? Y'all still, like, I'm good. You know, that was really important to me. As long as I had those select like 10 people, 15 people in my life that knew that I love and care about them, and I had to sacrifice a lot of time, that, but still give enough to them where they knew that I cared about them and I prioritized them whenever I did have time. Like, that's really what drove me.
Outside of the people you just mentioned, so like people in your
Yeah.
class or like people around you, what were they saying when you like had the idea of starting things like right out of school?
Actually, ironically, I won, we know superlatives, that I won the most likely to open up your own business. So like everyone knew, like I always talked about it. I always
Yeah.
talked about it. Like it was like it was my way of like, maybe like I talked about it not because I was trying to like be like oh, I'm gonna open my own business. It was more so like I wanted to hear their ideas. Like, I'm very aware that my own experiences have only allowed me to have the ideas that I have. Every single person has their own experiences, so I'm like, wait, if you were to do it, how would you do it? And then I'm gonna take what I like from it, right? But I would ask everybody. I'm such a, hey, well, how would you do it? You know, like, I'm not gonna take their advice per se in terms of like, oh, I put so much value in what they're saying, I still got to trust my gut, but I understand that I've only lived my experience, right? So I would talk about it a lot, and I would want to hear from them and hear their suggestions and how, you know, whatever. And so oftentimes, because they knew my position, if they found an article or if they found a podcast or something, they would always send it to me. Like, and so that was really dope to me. Like, that would be like, oh, thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. You know, and so that's where being open with your dreams is interesting, because it leaves you vulnerable, right? But it also can be a way to keep you accountable, and allow people who truly care about you to show interest in what you need in what you're doing.
I think that's so unique because like a lot of times when people are going against the grain and doing something that's not traditional, they get like people telling them that they shouldn't do it or like doubting their idea, like not supporting. So I think like your story is kind of unique because it seems like you didn't have like too much of that in your ear, which is good.
Oh, no, 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 no. Let me rephrase it. A bunch of people were telling me that. No, listen, a bunch of people were like, this is impossible. This is going to happen. You got to wait 5 years after you're out of school. You got to work for this. Well, you know, I heard it all. But when you have a level of like, you know, like, there's just like whatever is in my gut, whatever it is, like, I was only really paying attention to the good stuff, right? Like, the bad stuff gets you on the bad days, of course. Like, man, you know, maybe it's impossible, or this and that. But majority of the time, when I speak, I don't speak in all or nothing, but majority of the time, I really made a conscious decision to focus on the positive, because you'd be surprised like how many, you know, it's so funny, the same people that tell you, you know, that I look back and tell you like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, are the same people to be like, hey, do you mind like talking about your experience? And like, you know, I'm like, man, come on now, like, but I love it. I love it. And so no, there's a bunch of people that told me that it was the wrong thing to do. I just decided not to listen.
I think it's a skill to not listen.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to not listen. Like I feel like it's definitely something that you have to learn how to do because like we're so like from a young age we're taught to listen to everybody like that's older than us or that
Mm-hmm.
has more experience or like just supposed to be more wise. But I think you have to learn to like trust your ideas even if it may not make sense yet. Like that's definitely a skill and I think it's a good one to have because most people like aren't equipped to do it or they're just scared to do it.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, Keani, like we if you ask majority of people on the street about healthcare, right? The healthcare system, they'd be like, yeah, it's kind of messed up, right? So everyone knows the healthcare system is kind of screwed and manipulative and only really cares about people who are injured, right? But we also know that the way change happens is through the wisdom of the old and the energy of the youth. So you have to be able to like question authority when you know the system isn't good, right? Like so it's a skill, but it's needed. Like, and the cool thing about being a physical therapist is we're the most under, in my opinion, obviously objectively speaking, most undervalued and underused profession to allow people to stay healthy, right? And but then you got to think about why. Like, why is that the case? Well, the reason why is because of people. We can be one of the leading MSK wise, right? We can't help systematically, but MSK wise, we can help so many people stay healthy. But ultimately, that means we're going to be one of the biggest reasons why maybe the healthcare system loses money because they've yet to learn how to monetize primary and secondary care, right? So because we understand that it takes like it takes you, it takes me, it takes both of you guys like with the one with everyone else is involved, like we have to be open to being like, no, we know that this is a problem, like, so I'm not going to listen to the negativity, like, because I know this is a problem. So it's a skill set, but I think it draws from the need, like the word need, like it needs to change.
Do you feel like it's a big problem? That's a big problem. Do you feel like understanding your own thing, does you feel like that puts extra pressure on you to try and create that change?
Um, I, I think it gives me a sense of purpose. Like, as a I played basketball my whole life. I was an athlete my whole life. So for me, it's like I really truly look at life um like it's a sport. Like for real, like I think basketball is the closest, I mean any sport, but since I play basketball, is the closest metaphor to life, right? So, what gets you up to go to the gym when early in the morning, right? How do you communicate with coaches? How do other people of authority? How do you compete with your own teammates? Your coworkers or colleagues, right? Like how do you deal with fans, right? That talk shit and also help you out, like how do you go about making sure you're good and your habits and your insecurities are taken care of, that way you can perform the best you can or in your job or whatever. So I look at it as like I've almost been given another opportunity to be a professional athlete, right? Except now I'm doing it through my career. And so for me, it's like it's cool. Yeah, I guess it's pressure, and it is like I get like even then like, oh, I guess because it's just what I want to wake up and do every day. So I don't really look at it from a day in and day out. What I do focus on is like, okay, like if this is my career, this is my sport, and and if I'm Kobe and Kobe was in my position and this was his sport, like how would he go about it? Technically pressure would just give him an opportunity to be great. Right. So that's the way I look at it.
So then, what does greatness look like in your eyes?
Greatness looks like in my eyes. Ooh, that's a great question. How often you're able to wake up and make oof, that's a good question. Let me think. Greatness to me is really just a growth mindset. So it really is like waking up, trying to be the best version of yourself in every facet, and knowing that you're not going to be, but at the same time you're still striving. So progress over perfection all day, every day. But I realized, I learned probably, I want to say about 5 years ago, that progress is happiness, actually, right? Like that's actually where happiness lies, is in progress. So if you can greatness happens when you wake up every day just trying to be a little bit better at any facet of your life, whether it's being a better sibling, a better son, a better father, a better whatever. Like that's great to me, when you wake up and accept that responsibility and challenge.
I like that. So then opening up, like deciding to the process of opening up Swish and opening your own business, what is what were some of the things that you felt like you needed to improve on, or whether it was yourself, or what did you need, two things you needed to learn in order to get the continue the process of opening Swish?
Uh, I'll give you something logistical. I had to learn that that I wasn't competing with insurances. So I'm an out of network provider, and I was like, before opening up officially, I was like, how do I compete with insurances? Like, am I going to charge less? No, that doesn't make sense. Like, am I going to charge? Like, I was so confused about that, and that's where I came across the problem-based solution, a solutions-based clinic, which has been a game changer for how I look at how my business model is different than a traditional based, and therefore it gives me a platform to go, okay, I'm no longer in competing with insurance, because I can't, because but I'm also not that. So it gave me a foundation to believe in what I'm doing, and then get really good at that. And then the second thing was, to be transparent, I had to, I did a lot of therapy. And I know that's not like a fancy topic to talk about, and I think it should be talked about more in terms of like mental health and everything like that. I did a lot of therapy, and the reason why is because I realized that the business was only going to go as far as my insecurities, right? So even when it comes to like talking about money, like that's a taboo topic, right? Negotiation and budgeting and all that stuff, and when you have to communicate with a patient about what you're going to charge, if you don't come out confident and secure about what you're doing, you're either not going to get the deal, or you're going to get completely undervalued, right? So that's an example of what I had to go through, right? And then being confident, imposter syndrome, right? I was only 8 months removed from actually 6 months removed from getting my license when I opened up my clinic, right? So there's that level of like, no, I'm good enough, like, and going to therapy to realize like, okay, where does my insecurity with that lie, and fixing that, and realizing like, no, I am good enough for this. Like, I've treated a bunch of people, and I have been around people who were quote unquote experienced, and I'm like, I'm definitely a little, like, they're not that special, like, and so it gave me, realizing like, don't shy away from that, be confident about that, and so I would say the second thing I had to learn was definitely the importance of making sure my insecurities are taken care of. That's an ongoing thing, by the way.
It's definitely a ongoing thing. I think it's something that like you won't ever fully master, but I think that's the importance of like just being self-aware and knowing that like you're always gonna have certain things that you have to deal with, but you're just trying to get better, but realizing that you're like not ever gonna reach that point. And I think that's what keeps you going. I think it's
Progress.
interesting. Yeah, progress over perfection. I think it was interesting that you said that if you're insecure with dropping your price or telling people your price or how much you're going to charge them, that they're not going to buy. And I think that's so true because, like, that's something I deal with too. Like, I feel like, and I tell somebody my price, like, I don't like dealing with like that. If it's on the phone, like that awkward silence, and then you start talking, like talking yourself out of it. And, like you leave
Yeah.
money on the table when people didn't even question the price yet. And
uh,
I do think that comes like from like an insecurity. You know you're good enough, but then you're wondering if people also know that you're good enough. Um, so I just try to like
yeah,
price drop and deal with the silence.
yeah, I'll tell you two things that like really opened my mind. Two, like, literally, like, it was a mind blow. I had just opened up my clinic, right? I had a client come in, I'm like in awe, like I'm so excited. Somebody who's actually interested in working, like I'm, those jitterbugs or whatever. And it's the first time I was going to offer like a solutions-based offer. I offered it. It was a price that in my eyes, I was like, oh my gosh, you know? And I did it. As soon as he paid, he goes, I'm gonna be honest with you, you could have got me for about 3-4 times more. I was like, oh no, like I was so upset. Like and that just became because exactly what you talk about, that insecurity of being like, what am I value? What am I value? Like, am I counting this person's pockets? So that was number one. The second thing that blew my mind was I saw like a random reel of Snoop Dogg, and they asked him like, yeah, how much do you charge for a verse? And he was like $250,000 to write. And then if they want him to do the music video, $250,000 more dollars. And I was like, to write words, like I'm a hip hop head, but like I was like, to write a verse, like what are we doing here? Like, and it's like no disrespect. It's not like Snoop Dogg is like, at this point in time is the same, like I was like, come on, that's crazy. We're actually out here changing people's lives. And I'm scared to offer, whatever it is. Like, I was like, nope. How can he, and the reason why he gets away with it, and if you look at, and I remember analyzing it, and I was like, that dude said that with so much confidence. Like, he almost made me want to find $250,000. Like, just it was crazy. So those two things always stay in my brain when I think about like finding like what I'm gonna price.
Yeah, that's crazy. 250K is wild. But how do you how did you go about, well, I don't know if you did this yet, but I think like as a business owner, you have certain prices when you first start out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're dealing with like the insecurity with already like charging a certain price, did you like increase your prices over time? And how did you deal with like telling people that new price and being confident in it?
So this is what makes I think what we do a little bit different. So the easy way to go about pricing is to have standardized prices, right? You go, hey, we're going to charge XYZ for this is what we're doing. I don't necessarily do that. What I do, and this is why it takes a lot of insecurity and also a lot of understanding like the biopsychosocial of individuals, is I try not to leave. I do my best to, because we're still a business, and I know that the principle of in order to help people, I have to make sure the business stays alive, right? Um, I don't have a set price because things are valued differently for different people. So my job, when I'm talking about money with people or what we're budgeting, I am going based on how valuable is this for them, right? And so that takes a lot of skill to understand, like, this person might pay 2,500, but this person might pay 5,000, right? And so, and then someone can look at that and be like, well, it's kind of messed up. You're charging somebody, differently. I was like, first of all, we're not in the field where everyone's the same, right? Like, everyone is different. So why do we have standardized prices for everyone that's different? Like, so I look, again, the reason why we do have standardized prices because it takes out the level of insecurity. You can just lay back on the prices you have set, right? During those, hey, this is what I charge. This is what I charge, right? Versus having now being super engaged and listening and being like, oh, wait a minute, this is really important to them, right? I might be able to charge this, we'll see. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna attempt. And then you go for it. And they're like, yeah, of course. You're like, whoa, I made double that I would have made the person who did, so that's what makes it a little bit different, I think.
How do you go about doing that? Like, what is your process of knowing like that somebody could pay one price or the other?
So I have a set number in my brain that I have to have. So I do have a set price in my brain that I need if something. So I think about it like per month. So if I have a diagnosis or whatever, and where they're trying to get to might take, it should take around 3 months. In my mind, I kind of have a set number of what I will charge per month, right? The minimum. I have the minimum that I'll charge per month. And I don't let myself get under that. So if you think about it, if somebody's taking 3 months, then I'll multiply that number by 3. And that I know I can't go under. So I might charge a little bit more, and then maybe it goes down a little bit to that set number that I know I won't go under. Right. So that's the way I think about it. Like, in my brain, I do have something that I can lay back on in terms of what I'm able to value what I value myself per month, and in order the business to be alive.
And then depending on how complex their problem is, does that change your pricing?
Uh, yes, it can. It can. It can for
Okay.
sure. Oh, for sure.
Okay. And then with if let's say it's someone did what other factors can you actually break down what solutions-based problem
Ooh,
solving is for because I think have a sort of idea, but just to like break it
yeah.
down for everybody so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, so a solutions-based practice is you essentially reverse engineer where they're trying to get to where they are. So when someone comes in, they communicate and the whole first consultation really is just trying to understand what's the why behind what they're doing. Like, why are they here? Like, are you just trying to get out of pain? Like that's not a big enough why. Like I know people might think it when it's not. You have to have the why of like, you know what, man, I've never run a 5K before because I never thought I could with all this back pain, right? Okay, let's do that, right? So that's an example, right? We're going to get you to run a 5K, and right now you have bilateral knee pain, lower back pain, and we're going to get you to run that 5K in 3 months, right? And that's what we do now. So now we have set objectives. We know what we're trying to get to, and so we know therapy ends right once you've achieved that goal, right? And so that's essentially what solutions based. And the reason why I love it and adore it, and this goes back to now I'm not competing with insurances, is because insurances get paid whenever you come in. It's based on copays, right? And units that they can bill. So someone comes in, hey, we see you for 53 minutes, we can bill you for 4 units, you get out, right? So the business structure is made for them to be incentivized to see you every single time you come in, right? So I tell people, so when it's solutions based, what I typically do is either have them on a payment plan or they pay up front for a little bit discounted of a price, right? Once they've paid, I, as a clinician, am now incentivized to better fast because if I get you better faster, I technically make more money per session, right? So it is literally the opposite way of looking at healthcare and the way the healthcare system is, right? I am not incentivized to keep you here long. I am now incentivized to get you better faster, which is the complete opposite of what it's like for insurance based.
Yeah, I don't know why when I taught that earlier. That makes so much sense to me. Like that, I don't know why it don't make sense for me to like want to see people 3, 4 times a week for like 8 weeks when if you can get them better once or twice a week for 6 weeks versus 12, like
Yeah.
you just save so much more time, you make more money, and you can also bring more people into the door if you can get
Mm-hmm.
people out. Because I know you was talking about like you got a roster of like
Mm-hmm.
15 people that you're trying to keep on at one time. And so
Yeah.
if you can get people faster and you can get a person out and then you can bring someone else onto the team and like it just keeps it moving that way. I
Yeah.
like it. I like that a lot.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, that's essentially the thing. And what I realized was, man, what it's made me realize is like it's okay that I'm not mad at insurances. Like I think we do need to have a situation where people who typically wouldn't maybe I always go back to fast food and fine dining. That's kind of the easiest metaphor. Like, fast food is a thing. Like people just need something to eat real quick, they go. Like that's what traditional based PT to me is. Like it's fast food. Like you get in, get out, and it's less price and whatever. But it catches up to you, it really can. But it's there versus those people who are willing and to value themselves enough to go, you know what, I'm going to have a fine dining experience with my life, with my healthcare, right? Then they have the option. What I realized is there aren't enough fine dining experiences in PT, right? There's just fast food. And so that's essentially the way I look at it.
I know there's like I like that idea. I know there's like people that say like cash pay isn't affordable for people, which
Mm-hmm.
I think at times yes, but I've also seen more situations where people can't even afford to use their insurance. Their copay is so high. So like you might as well see me outside of my job. So like
Facts.
I'm tired of hearing like the whole cash pay is too expensive. No, it's not. Insurance is expensive because you're paying all this money and you can't even use it.
Facts.
So I
Facts.
think there does need to be more fine dining experiences in PT, and then I think that will save people more money in the long run. Because there's so many people that go to PT 2 times a week. 2 times a week for 8 weeks and don't get better
Yeah.
at all. They get like
Yeah.
60% better. And they can't even return to the stuff they want to get back to. When you could have fully got better in less time with less money if you accumulated, if you tally it up and compare it. But I guess people just aren't like taught to think like that. We're just taught to keep people on program for X amount of time and not really care if they're getting better.
It's
So
literally the most frustrating thing ever. Like, and as clinicians, we understand that, but it's like we do. I honestly think like PTs, I mean doctors in general, are really, how do I say this politely?
you don't have to be
I just
polite.
yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'm
trying.
about to say,
Yeah,
don't be polite.
don't be polite. Like we're only good at math and science. Like we have to understand the psychology behind a lot of the way these patients think. Like even from like for example, um uh keeping a patient for for an hour one-on-one and being like, oh, you're gonna get so much more time with me, right? Like we're gonna spend so much time together. Like that's not what they want. They want to spend time with their family. They want to spend time with their friends. They want to spend time with like their loved ones. Like they don't like they want the experience with you as a clinician and a doctor to be fun and that, but they just want us to know that we care, right? And we're here as a resource and that we want to get them better faster, right? Whereas like most physicians are like, oh, my time is worth, like, no, like stop. It's not about us. Like it's about the clients. Like it's about the people. So and they're not good. And then most, I guess, doctors in our physicians in general just aren't good at business. Like don't even understand like business, right? Like sales and marketing and like brand and so on and so forth. And I get it because we spend so much time with math and science that's like, oh, what time are we going to get like learning about branding, like, but still, it's not an excuse for after we graduate to want to know more and to be better for the general population.
Where did you, because I know you don't have a business background, do you?
No, I have just a
Okay.
curiosity. I'm just a curious person. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's why that's what I thought he was gonna say. So then how important was it for you to find mentors? And then how did you go about finding the right mentors for you?
Mm. Um, Mentors. I've been fortunate enough to have mentors, and it wasn't necessarily that like they showed me the way to do things. It was just cool people in the field that were like, yo, we need you to do this. If we can go back to when you were when we were your age, like we would do it this way. We just can't now because it's too late. Like they're stuck in the matrix or whatever that you want to look at it like. So it was cool people like Chris Burley, who I worked as a tech when I was at Brooks, and he was my mentor. That was always kind of like, he knew from a very young age, like he was, or when I was, young and a tech, he would always like tell that, hey, make sure you do it, like I'm gonna live vicariously through you, like. So they empowered me to do that. And then during my rotation, um oh my god, I'm blanking on his name, he's gonna get so mad at me. But yeah, so during my first rotation, one of the first things, they ask you like, oh, what are you trying to learn, or like what do you want to take from this rotation, and he was so shocked that I was like, hey, I want to learn the business side of things, right? Hey, I want you to teach me, like, what would you do if you were running the clinic, or what are you doing to run the clinic, like. And he was like put off, like, whoa, like, so you don't care about my manual skills? I'm like, no, I do appreciate that, but I want to know more. And so then he was like, he would then stay up and like find an article, or like, hey, can you stay afterwards, and I have this idea. We're gonna draw out what clinic I would want it to look like, or how much square feet. Like, just I now, like, they were just excited about sharing the way that they would go about things, and that was a cool part. And so, especially when it could have been the opposite, they could have been like, "Nah, you're dumb. Like don't do it. Like you're stupid. You should be focusing on this." Like So I appreciate the mentors that empowered me and they didn't put their insecurities on me.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit on this podcast too, about how some people project their fears or their own insecurities onto you and kind of stopped you from trying to achieve your dreams because they wasn't able to achieve theirs. So I love that. I think that's really cool that you was able to have people that supported you, that pushed you, that just told you, yo, you got to do this because we got high expectations, but we know that you can do this because you've driven and you know what you want. And I think that's the first thing. Once you know what you want, and the answers are going to be there, and it's just about trying to stay on the path to getting there and having the time and the consistency and putting in the work to get to where you want to go. But I feel like if you don't know what you want, then you just kind of all over the place and hoping for something to stick, and and it's just you're never going to
Man,
be satisfied.
man, that's honestly that's the one thing that I don't quite understand is why at the age of 14 I'm still doing what I wanted to do at 14. Like that to me doesn't like why was I given that idea? You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know, but it's been there since then. And I want to give a huge shout out since I have the opportunity for my stepdad. And Jose Gamboa, man, out of as often as he could, he taught me really two big lessons. He would constantly, when he saw the struggle that, like the days that people don't see, at a very young age, he would ask me, hey, are you still happy? Right. And then also tell me, like, if you're not, then you can switch. Like the goal in life is for you to make sure you're happy and at peace. Like, so he made me like extremely okay, even when I had already maybe a lot of debt or whatever it was. Like he was like, yo, if you're not happy, move on. Right. And that made me feel okay with failing. Right. Because that was really dope to me. Like I don't think he understands like the power of that he had to be like, hey, look, are you happy? Yes, I'm happy. All right, keep doing what you're doing. Right. That's one. And then number two was he was the first person that ever broke down what reverse engineering was. And that to me has been a game changer in terms of going like, what am I trying to accomplish? And now we know it is like manifesting, right? Like we look at what we're trying to get to and then try to figure out any kind of step that we got to, we got to do to get there. So those are two huge things that I can't tell them thank you enough. And so that's helped me in business a lot.
I think a lot of times, like people don't have the support system, whether it's like their partner, their family, or like their like surrounding friends. They don't have like that support from them to make them feel like okay with failing. So like their fear of failing is so strong that they don't even start. So I think a lot of people just want to know that like their close people in their circle are still gonna like support them no matter what. And I think that allows you to go a lot further as opposed to if you had no support.
Facts. I don't know if you guys know, I failed my first attempt at my MPTE. So my first attempt, I failed, and it was like the scariest thing. And it goes back to exactly what you're saying, because my biggest fear wasn't about how the world was going to perceive it or whatever. It was like, did I let my immediate family down, right? And I'll never forget, like, as soon as I told my mom and my family, like, their first reaction, I thought it was going to be negative. Like, what the heck have you been doing all this whole time, right? Like, were you not studying? Like, did you not care? Like, what do you think? Like, there's so much sacrifice. No, their first reaction is like, all right, when's the next time you can take it? And what can we do to help you? I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm good, and uh for anyone that like, I get how lucky I am to have a support system, and I'm very and I get it that that's a benefit, and I love them to death. But I will say that to those who struggle with that, like all you really need is one person. Like, and I think everyone has one person, you know, that you can be open and receptive to, So yeah.
1%, but I think it also has to be the right person. Like you can't just be
Yeah.
this is the only person I got, so I'm gonna tell you everything, and then
No.
who knows where it goes. But if you got the right, I think yeah, it don't got to be 5, 10. One person can change your life if you allow them to, and they're sending you on the right way. So I absolutely agree with that. Um, so you opened Swish in May of this year,
Hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
Now we're in December. From
Hmm.
month 1 to month 9, how has it grown? How has it been? What's it been like being a full business owner?
Oh man, it's been amazing. The one thing I will, there's a caveat to that. I opened May 4th. Um but I was part-time. I was also working almost damn near full-time at another job. So I was working like 100-hour weeks um for about 2.5 months, or 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. And then July 15th was when I actually went full-time. So I've been full time at Swish for since July 15th, and it's been an absolutely incredible experience. Like, you go through your ups and downs, obviously, but like the best part about it is knowing that like everything you're doing it for you, and on top of that, you understand the why you're the behind why you're doing it, right? So when you're an employee or whatever, like sometimes you're just doing stuff because you're told to do it. Like that bothered me really bad. So um that's been the greatest part about the journey. And what's grown is now we're in a position where what I've been working on is this um concept of like, how can I change healthcare system, or at least healthcare in the position that I am now, with the power that I have as a clinic. And that's where I'll soon, actually, you guys will be the first people I'm telling this, is I'm introducing what's going to be called Swish Pro and Swish Pro Plus, and that'll come alive hopefully January 1st. And what it is, it's a subscription based service that is based around uh, primary and secondary prevention, and so it's helping people obviously stay healthy and not waiting till their vehicle is broken down, right? Their body, And so I'm very excited for this, because it pretty much is a way to allow for physical therapists to truly be the primary physician for MSK problems. And that's what I'm truly excited about, is to be able to be on a platform where I can use to educate individuals to be like, hey guys, the healthcare system waits for you to be injured. You guys realize that, right? Like, waits. But just like a car, you should be checking your vehicle, before the check engine light comes on, right? And then if it does come on, and if you look at your body, like, oh, my back hurts, but I don't have a diagnosis yet, but I wake up 2 out of 7 days and my back hurts, but I don't do anything about it because I don't know what to do, right? And then you don't do anything about it, but then you wait till you get injured. Now you're injured, right? So the system is going to be pretty much a subscription-based service where we do biannual checkups. Where I'll do a full body diagnostic checkup. We'll check every range of motion of the body, or every joint of the body, every muscle length testing of the majority muscles that have the issues, like your hip flexors, your quads, your hamstrings, your dorsal, your calves, and then on top of that, we'll do 2 recovery sessions a month. On top of that, you'll given access to telehealth phone calls, and then on top of that, you'll also be given what we call perks through our Swish Pro, which is I've collaborated with we're right now 15 different companies throughout the local community that have to do with living an active lifestyle. So whether it's a healthy cafe, whether it's a boxing, whether it's Pilates, whether it's yoga, whether it's cycling, to allow people to go, okay, I'm a part of the subscription. I'm going to go try this. I'm going to go try this. I'm going to go try this without any additional cost. Through an exclusive membership between me and the partner. So it gives people a chance to fall in love with something active, right? But also know they're going to continue to recover throughout the year with those 2 recovery sessions a month. And that's how my goal is to make Oviedo the healthiest place in the United States. Like, that's my goal.
That's dope as hell. I would subscribe to something like that. That's really dope.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I just listened to Greg Todd's podcast, and he was just saying that, like, I don't know, it's not word for word, but he was saying the importance of collaboration, like collaborating with other people. That's how you one, build your business, but also like build a better product and make more money. Not saying that that's the sole reason for doing it, but collaboration is key.
By the way, money's not evil. It's what you do with it, right? Like,
Yeah, money's definitely not evil, but I had to clarify because some people might take
yeah,
my words and run with it.
no, I feel you. But
I have
no,
PTSD.
Nah, yo, I feel you. Trust me, I feel you. But it's so true. Like, what I don't, as long as you don't have a how I feel, like a capitalistic mindset where it's like I'm just trying to make as much money as possible so I can then just keep it to myself. Like that's the wrong way to look at it. I think we all have to find a way to help each other. And you're right, collaboration is key. It really is. Like, and mind you, like especially you guys understand this because this is the platform you guys have. Like, health is way more than physical health. Like, it is physical, emotional, intellectual, psychological, financial, right? And so I am good at physical health, right? That's what we're good at. But I got to collaborate with the right financial people. I got to collaborate with the right psychological people. I got to collaborate with the right nutritional people. Like, so that's truly that's what healthcare should be, truthfully. So that's what I'm trying to create. Essentially, like, it's almost like a little like physical therapy healthcare plan, and so I'm really excited for it.
And it's very holistic. I think that you can't like address one part without addressing the other. So I think your idea is very holistic, and that's kind of what physical therapy is meant to be. It's just that, like in that sharing space, you're not afforded the opportunity to create something like that.
No, and that's the way I look at it. Is like, since I'm in this space, what can I do to take advantage of the opportunity? Truthfully,
When you were moving from working part time at Swish to full time, what
mm-hmm.
was going through your mind? Did you have any doubts about like supporting yourself full time without the other job?
So I'm gonna give you another definition. Anxiety is the fear of the future, right? That's a little definition of anxiety. And so my anxiety was at an all-time high. And the issue was, during those 2 months where I was working part-time and then like full-time at the other place, I was like, man, I'm not putting enough energy in Swish. Like, I literally, how can I? Like, I'm working. And so I knew that Swish had that I had yet to give it all, right? So my anxiety or my fear wasn't based on, is this not going to work? It was based on, is this not going to work because I'm not giving it my all yet? Right? Is it gonna sink before I'm actually able to give it my all? And so, to be transparent, like, I had like 2 major panic attacks the first week of July, like like bad. And at that point, that's when I was like, I can't do this no more. And so I quit my other job and was like, I'm going full time. And that's why I say since then it's been like I can't smile enough.
Did you go back and forth on that decision to go full time? I'm put like to quit your job. You
Um,
just woke up one day and was like, "Fuck it, I'm doing
Nah, it was really the panic attacks. Like I'm not joking. Like, I was like, yo, this is not healthy. Like, I can't do this anymore. This is not healthy. Like, I'm not probably fun to be around right now. Like, like when I'm out of work, like this shit is not good. So it took that to be like, fuck it. I'm gonna go full time and then live with the results. Like, play basketball. Like, if you do a turnover, you can't let it affect the next play. So like, or you're not supposed to. So you got to make a decision and live with it. And that's kind of the biggest thing that I take. Like, it's like, fuck it. I'm making my full-time decision. I'm going to live with it regardless.
You took ownership of the situation. It's like if you airball it, and you a shooter, you can shoot that shit again. Shoot that shit
Yep.
again. Every
Yep.
time.
Exactly. You got to do it. You got to do it.
Absolutely. Key, I don't know if you have more questions on this aspect before I transition. We're almost just the last little segment here.
Mm-hmm.
On the personal development side, you talked a lot about some books and podcasts and going to therapy. This is probably gonna be tough, but I'm gonna try and limit it. Top 3 books or podcasts that changed our outlook on life, business, or growth.
That's hard. That's definitely hard. The first one that comes to mind is The Defining Decade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys know about it, but I forgot the author, but Defining Decade, I've read that. It talks about the importance of your 20s. And I read that literally, I finished it like the day before I turned 20. And I remember once I read it, I was like, all right, here I go. Like, it was like one of those, like, I gotta make these 20s count. Like, so maybe it had a lot to do with timing more than anything when I read that book, but that book for sure. Let me think. Oof, let me pull up my library because now I don't want to mess anything up. Let's see. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is incredible. And The Energy Bus by John Gordon. Those are my three books that I would recommend. Like The Energy Bus to me was it talks about the importance of positive thinking, right? So for me, that was such a game changer because it was like, yo, no matter how hard or how negative a situation it is, like I've gone through things in my life that have been pretty difficult, and where it was really hard to come up with one positive thought, but regardless, all it took was one to build a momentum, right? So you start with one, and then maybe you get two, right, and then maybe you get three, and so the energy bus just talks about how positivity or energy in general is built off momentum. So if you're negative, then you can build that momentum can really go in that direction as well. So, but you can stop it too. If you're negative, all it takes is one positive thought to then set your psychology to go to try to go in the opposite direction. And so that was a really big one for me.
That's kind of like I haven't read Energy Bus, but that's kind of like, I think, Compound Effect, or I think it's Compound Effect. And there's another like habit-based book that like just talks about these little actions that compound over time. Yeah, Compound Effect. That was it. Have you read that one?
No, I haven't, but I have heard of it. I have heard of it.
That's a good one. That's a good one too. But I'm definitely gonna check out Energy Bus. Meg and I were just talking about like positive momentum and how it's like so much easier to keep up with positive momentum than it is like getting out of negative momentum. So I realized that I try to do things that like build positive momentum as much as I can, just so that like if I don't feel like doing something, maybe like me doing something small today might motivate me to do it tomorrow. I'm just trying to like stay within that and not get too far into the negative.
Yanni, I remember when I was going through a hard time in my life, like when you got to learn, like maybe I'm not going to be positive in terms of like, oh, this is going to be the greatest day on earth. What I used to think was like, I think I'm going to do a great job turning this doorknob. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like something super simple. Like, you know what, man, I think I'm gonna get into my car pretty good today. Like, and it just like little stuff like that where like when you're going through it, it's really hard to think about these grandiose type of thoughts, but it really just takes little ones to, like you said, give you that compound effect. So for sure.
What are some skills that you're trying to improve or learn within the next year?
Ooh, good question. I am uh I am learning to not expect from others what I expect for myself. And so that's the thing that I'm on right now. Uh, and I look at it as the Michael Jordan effect. Like, I think the reason why Michael Jordan is not a great owner or like hasn't had the level of success as an owner is because I think he looks at his players like, yo, y'all don't work like I do. So it's hard to empathize or sympathize with somebody or try to understand what they're going through if you think that they're going to act like you. So some of the skill set that I'm looking at right now is like, okay, let me appreciate you for what you do and love that about you and figure out how we can use those skills to, better whatever I'm trying to do in my life.
I like that. I like that. That's big. Okay. Then 5 to 10 years, what does life look like for you? And then what does the business look like for you?
Ooh, 5 to 10 years. I feel like I've given so many sports analogies. I truly believe I look at this like we talked about earlier, like a professional career, right? So hopefully I've had a 10-year career, right? And I've made financial investing decisions outside of PT, right? So my goal is to use the vehicle to make a good enough living where I can retire at a younger age, just like an athlete would, right? So, and then figure out from there, like, what's my next step, which will probably be being a professor. at a college or whatever. So that's why I look at it. Like I've had a good professional career where I've made positive changes in the healthcare system, and maybe hopefully a leading change in how we go about monetizing primary and secondary prevention, and making good, financial decisions outside.
Key, you got?
I've never, sorry.
No, no, I was about to ask, Key, you got anything else?
Oh, no, I was gonna say I've never heard somebody like break down or use analogies with basketball like so well as you do. Like they all make sense. I never thought about things like that. What makes you want to be a professor? Like what would you teach?
um I think I come from a family. I don't think I know I come from a family of professors. Like my aunt is a professor, University of Puerto Rico. My mom has been a teacher her for I think 17, 18 years. My grandmother was a teacher as well for 20 plus years, 30 plus years. And I enjoy it. I love there's a certain level of purpose that it also gives me to go, hey, I can share what I know to somebody else. And so that gives me a lot of energy too, and selfishly gives me purpose to be like, hey, I'm reading this article, or I'm doing this, or I'm absorbing this, or whatever, so I can hopefully share it one day to somebody that might need it. So I've gone on I've done medical mission trips. I just got back from a medical mission trip out in Puerto Rico where I was a CI for the first time, and that was dope. And I currently do. I'm a TA at my alma mater. Once a month, I started that process of teaching, and so I genuinely enjoy to stay connected. And truthfully, like it's also a way to also stay involved with other colleagues. Like so it's a way to still communicate and really feel connected to the profession.
I like that. That's dope. What were we gonna say, Meg?
Can I ask y'all a
My,
question?
what's up?
Because I'm curious about this answer, and you, whatever order you guys want to start. Like, what do you guys think is your superpower?
I think ability to fit into a lot of different uh groups, adapt. I think adapt to a lot of different
You're,
situations.
you're a chameleon.
I think I think my superpower is my ability to like not conform to things around me if that's not truly what I believe in. And I think that I don't let that affect like my view of other people. Like I can have differences with people and like completely respect them and still be cool with them, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like I don't believe in that, but that's cool. And I think it's hard to be able to do that and still maintain good relationships.
Hmm.
I think that's my superpower.
What I'm gonna give you one more question, then we'll be done. I'm curious because I'm curious. Um, what skill would do you think people need to work on the most?
Listening.
Ooh, okay, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Hmm. I'm gonna be an asshole and say not listening.
Not listening.
Not listening.
That
No, for real though. Not listening. I think people don't like they listen too much. They listen to the wrong people, or they don't know who to listen to and who to not listen to. I think there's like so many people in your ear telling you more often than not things that they don't have any business like advising you on, and like just getting
Mhm.
in your ear, preventing you from doing stuff, as opposed to like you having that person that's the expert telling you what to do. So I think most people shouldn't listen to certain things. I think people listen too
So
much.
we'll take a middle ground, like selective listening. We'll say
Selective
that.
listening, being able to figure out who they should listen to, like discernment. You have to know who to
Dang.
take advice from.
Facts. I would say for me, I think the biggest skill is based off of it comes from pride. So I think people have, especially as an adult, people have to do a better job of asking for help from people that want to help them. Right. So and because I think the issue with that is um if a dream is big enough, it shouldn't be it shouldn't be able to be accomplished by one person. Like it should be impossible if a dream is big enough and your vision is big enough, it literally should be impossible to do by yourself. And if it is achievable by yourself, it's not a big enough dream or vision, right? So if we understand that, like, people need to be good enough to go, I'm going to set my pride aside and ask for help, especially from people that actually want to help me. Because if not, you deprive them from the purpose they have in your life. That's the skill that like I beg for.
Do you are you answering that as a skill you need to work on, or like just in general?
No, I ask.
Okay. I think it's hard to ask for help sometimes, and it does stem from ego.
No, it is. It's pride, right? Like, you know, do you guys listen to J. Cole? Like, pride is the devil, right? Like, you got to be able to you got to be able to, like, got to take that shit off. Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for anyone. Like, that's pride.
What's your favorite J. Cole song? Top 5, top 3.
Ooh, Grown Simba. That's hard. That's hard. Like, I'm giving you right up top. Grown Simba. The Cure, probably. I'm getting one. Like, yeah. Oh
that's
my gosh.
Old.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like a Friday Night Lights one.
I got one.
Oof. Okay, go. Say it.
I like Lights Please, Dollar in a Dream. Damn. I like Chaining Day.
Chaining Day is great. Chaining Day is great. Lights Please is a classic. Man, what about you? What you got? Dollar in a Dream.
Hold on. Top J. Cole. You know, Power Trip always, I think
that's a classic.
I don't think you can go wrong with No Role Models.
Rest in peace.
Oh, we're no role. Oof. You guys ever heard of Grew Up Fast?
I haven't heard that one.
Oh man, that's a good one. J. Cole's got so many great ones. Like that depends on the day. It depends on the day.
Yeah, it does depend on the day. But you mentioned
2014 Forest Hills Drive was the best concert I've ever been to.
Yo, I said the same thing. That was
best
the last concert. No, that wasn't. That's not the last concert. I went to Lil Baby and Chris Brown. It doesn't compare. Yo, that concert was so good. He performed everything. He performed his Friday Night Light stuff, all his old stuff, and the whole album.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. I tell people, they don't believe me. Like, I don't think I will ever be able to go to any other artist that performs an intro to an outro and everybody sing every lyric from intro to outro. Like, it made no sense to me. Like, crazy. I was like, how is this happening? I was like, Yo. And I've been to Drake versus Lil Wayne. Like, I've been to a few. Like, that one's 100%. The best.
Top 2, it's not 2.
Yeah. Oof. Oof.
Real quick.
Yeah.
We went up for like an hour 15. Yeah. 1 or 2 takeaways you want listeners to take away from this episode?
Oh, that's a good question. Kind of what we talked about a little bit. Confidence stems from your ability to keep promises to yourself. Arrogance comes from the things you lie to other people about what you said you did. So that's the difference between confidence and arrogance. The second thing is your limitations are based off your own insecurities. So the more open you are to being self-aware of what your insecurities are and your ability to deal with them will take off the ceiling of what you're trying to accomplish, whatever it is.
Love it. Where can people find you if they have questions about you or about Swish or anything you got going on?
Very easy. At Dr. Coach Kev on Instagram or anything. And then getswishpt.com is where you can find the website. We just dropped new merch, which is cool. It's a simple way for people to support, because I know obviously we're located in Oviedo and it's a brick and mortar thing. But if you do want to support, that's where you can kind of support there. So yeah, at Dr. Coach Kev.
Love it. And then stay on the lookout for a Swish Pro and Swish Pro Plus, because that sounds like it's about to be a
Ooh.
crazy thing that's about to drop in 2023. But Kev, no, I appreciate you taking the time to be on the pod and spend some of your Saturday afternoon with us. No, I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, no, it was a blast.
I hope this isn't the last time, guys. I appreciate you guys. I'm off to see my 3-year-old niece do her first dance recital. So
Oh,
I'm ready for the tears to shed a little bit, probably. I don't know.
That is so cute. But yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
coming on. It was great talking to you.
Likewise. Best of luck with everything, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
oh, for
Yes, I
sure.
will.
All right,
Peace.
catch
Catch you
y'all
guys
on the
on
next
next episode.
episode.